25 years is how do we improve the teaching and learning opportunities for our students? And I have to say, in this sort of the twilight years of my role in education, it's been really amazing to be refreshed and revitalized through Google Apps for Education. And really, it has done that. I took a week in the summer to become a Google education trainer because I wanted to learn more, and I wanted to be able to share that knowledge and experience with the teachers and the students in our school board, but also outside of our school board. One of the nice things about being a Google education trainer is there's a rich network worldwide where we learn from each other, whether it be from following our PLN on Twitter or from being in our Google Educators group. No longer is the knowledge and skills that we have as educators based on the one workshop we get funding to go to a year, or the skills and knowledge that's in the four walls of our building. So it's extremely powerful for us, and we need to recognize that this is the life of our students. This is what they're doing. They're learners who are constantly changing. Their world is constantly changing. Their approach to tasks is extremely different to the way when we went to school that we approached tasks. And if you think about your daily life, you were asked this morning, did you go to an encyclopedia that you pulled out of a bookshelf recently? So our students are creating and they're consuming information. And one of our roles as educators is to help them consume information. So we don't want our students to be confined to one location. With Google Apps for Education, they can access their work from anywhere. But what's really important is it's not a discussion about a tool. It's not a discussion about an app. When I do workshops with administrators and teachers, the first thing I talk about is the fact that it's the learning goals that come first. So we need to think about what learning do we want our students to demonstrate? Are we working on them developing their literacy skills? Do we want them to learn how to communicate through blogs? Are we looking at their oral language skills? So we look at what learning goals we want them to achieve, and then we look at the 4 C's. We want our students to use technology as a tool for learning, to create, to consume, and that means to consume information, to connect. I talked about me as an adult connecting, but our students connect as well. And then to curate. And when we talk about curation, we want to think about how are they curating their information? How are they curating, most importantly, their creation? So I'm sure many of you have experienced the process of portfolios. When I taught, student portfolios were on paper and stuck in a binder. And often the teacher would say, okay, today's portfolio day, everybody get out your binders and your math test and stick it in your math test. Well, I do 2.5-hour workshops on developing digital portfolios, and a lot of discussion is around the curation piece, because it's the students who should be curating the evidence of their learning. It's the students who should be able to decide what goes into their portfolio that demonstrates the strength or a weakness at that time, and what continues to go in and to continue to take out. So I briefly mentioned apps, and these are the 2 questions I go through with teachers when talking to them about Google Apps for Education or any apps. You have to have 2 essential questions. Can I get it off the app? And can I publish the work being created somewhere? Because the whole goal is to connect and to share and to celebrate your learning and to get feedback from others. So if you can't do that, if it belongs on a device and stays on a device, then that's not an effective tool for the 4 C's. So we have one screen of apps. And if you look at these apps, there's no content apps. When I start my workshops, there's teachers in the room who know what I'm about to say, but I always say I don't do content apps. For example, I worked with Jane Preston last year. She's over here from Lakeside, an amazing math teacher. And I said, Jane, I saw this incredible tool that I think will be really important for you. It's about conics. Are you working with your kids on conics projects? And Jane's going to show you what she did with that. But what we did was we talked about how she previously taught her kids conics, and then Jane and I worked on a lesson plan using Understanding by Design, and Jane did her first YouTube tutorial. And she's going to show you what amazing work her students did and about the learning that happened. So it wasn't about the app itself, it was about how could Jane transform a teaching and learning opportunity with her students so it could be extended beyond them working at home on a piece of paper with a pencil for 3 weeks to get this done. And when that was done, where did it live? And Jane's going to show you that after lunch. So one of the great things I love about Google Apps for Education is how it can help our students develop literacy skills. One of the things that we often forget, whether we're in elementary school or high school, is we need to have opportunities for oral language. It's massive. So one of the things that Google Apps does is provide lots of tools and opportunities for oral language development. So this is a little example that I want to show you. Someone said to me once, oh, we'll never use Google Apps for Education before grade 3. And I said, yes, of course we will. It's an amazing tool. And this is an example of how you can marry analog with digital, that it's not all about going digital. So this is my friend and colleague's daughter, who was 3 at the time. And so I asked Nina to draw a picture of herself, and then I took a photo of it and uploaded it to Google Draw, and then we did a screencast together. And once I show it to you, what I want you to look as you go through this, those of you who have experience with early literacy development, is think about from this very short task, what I was able to learn about Nina's developing literacy skills.
Hi, Nina. Tell me the story about your picture.
It's Nina.
How old is Nina?
3.
3? Do you know your alphabet, Nina?
A little bit.
Can you tell it to me?
A, B, C, D, E, F, C, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Now I know my ABCs. Next time you sit with me.
You did the whole thing perfectly. Good girl.
Yeah.
And do you know how to spell Nina?
Yes.
How do you spell Nina?
3.
3? But how do you write your name?
3.
Let's see if this is your name.
That's not my name.
That's not your name, Nina? N-I-N-A?
Yeah, that's my name.
That's your name? Excellent. What? Can you tell me what those letters are?
N, Y, C,
N-I-N-A. And do you have a brother?
yes, his name is Luca.
Luca. What letter does Luca start with? L. Does it start with
N?
L? U?
Yeah,
C?
so it's L.
A. Luca. Excellent. Thank you so much, Nina, for working with me.
So when I asked Nina to spell her name, what did she do the first time? What did she give me? 3. She gave me a numeral, right? So then when I modeled and showed her N-I-N-A, how did she spell her name? N, yes. But did she give me random numerals or did she give me random letters? Letters. So what was she able to do? As an early literacy teacher, what did I see from that?
Distinguishing between letters and numerals.
That's right, exactly. She was distinguishing between letters and numerals, which is a precursor to reading. Now, this took 2 minutes with a 3-year-old. The great power of Google Apps for Education on top of that is if I were the classroom teacher, I'd click on that little blue share button, and what would I do with Nina's video? Who would I share it with? Her parents. Her parents would go home at dinner and they would have the video of their daughter demonstrating early literacy skills. So when I do this workshop with teachers, I say, oftentimes when you have a parent-teacher interview or you get a phone call, do parents say to you, I asked my child what they did at school today and they told me they did nothing. Think about the rich dinner conversation that now happens. Not just about you as the teacher and the way you were able to demonstrate the students' learning, but the fact fact that they're now talking to Nina about what she did at school in a very focused way. That little blue share button is magic. It's a teacher's gold. So not only is that an example of Nina's learning progress, not only can I share it with the parents and have a powerful tool, what a great thing to go into a portfolio at the beginning of the school year, because then as we progress through the school year, we'll be able to see her grow. So guess what, teachers? You have a ton of assessment and evaluation information as well. From 1 2-minute, simple, educational activity. We have the 4 tools. We want them to create videos. We want them to take screenshots, take photographs, and then put it together in a screencast. So what we have to remember is that technology used effectively allows us to reach every learner where they are. I used to do a workshop called Google the Great Differentiator, and I've now changed it to be a Gaze teaching and learning idea, because differentiation is everything everywhere, right? This is what we need to be doing. So this is from my colleague Clark, and she made this great graphic about effective technology integration. It's about making your thinking visible. And it's about giving students an opportunity to make their thinking visible in different ways. It's about giving our students a voice. Tony and I were at a consortium meeting last year where one of the technicians talked about how they had taken Nexus 7s to a classroom and given it to the teacher. The teacher handed a Nexus 7 to a grade 10 child who has been getting horrifically poor marks in school all their life and has some learning challenges. That student took the Nexus 7 to the back of the classroom, used the voice-to-text feature on the Nexus 7, and dictated a 7-page assignment that the teacher read the assignment and cried. Because this was a student who was brilliant, who was never able to demonstrate their learning in the traditional way that we ask our students to demonstrate their learning. So it's extremely powerful. I briefly talked about assessment for learning. Google Forms is incredible for assessment for learning. Making thinking visible. I won't run through this. I'm cognizant of time, but it's on my YouTube channel. This is an example of a student, Luca, who was in my first video, who I introduced him to Google Draw, and I asked him to draw a picture. But the reason I did the screencast with him was because I want to help him develop his oral language, and I want him to be able to use procedural language. We want our students to be able to explain what they're doing. So to talk about how he used Google Draw, why he drew what he did.
To explain to Daddy and I how you made your video. Your drawing, excuse me. How did you make your drawing?
I was trying to make like a goldfish, but it didn't work really well.
I think it worked well. How did you make your goldfish? Where did you go to?
Because we were gonna go fishing.
Can you move
today.
the mouse and show me where you went to get the shapes?
We get the shapes like over here, and then the drawing was over here, but some of it was like green, and then and then it turned out like turned out like green somewhere.
How did you get blue?
We get the blue like here. We get the drawing here, and the blue was the same place as the
Was over here, right? It
Yeah.
opened up? Okay.
it was the same place that like somewhere else that I forgot, and then it comes up somewhere when we like, I don't know, if we press like,
Well, right now, because you're on Screencastify, it's not showing, but if you press here, that you're showing us where you got your shapes from, right?
we get the shapes from, but
And where did you get your scribble from for the water?
the scribble from it was over here.
Over here, these scribbles? Is that where you were?
Yeah. And then
Excellent.
these are some different parts that I don't know.
Okay, but we can show you that another time.
Yeah.
And when you came back in from outside, were you surprised that I had changed your picture?
Yeah.
Was I able to get it back?
Yeah.
Yes, that's called revision history, so you can see your changes. So did you like your first experience with Google Drive?
Yes.
Good.